As UFC 320 draws near, anticipation for the co-main event between Cory Sandhagen and Merab Dvalishvili is reaching a fever pitch. Both fighters have been vocal in the lead-up, trading words and warnings as they prepare for what promises to be one of the most electrifying bantamweight clashes of the year. Merab, who has built his reputation on relentless pace, suffocating pressure, and elite wrestling, has boldly declared that he plans to knock out Sandhagen when they meet inside the octagon. It was a statement that caught the attention of fight fans, and one that Sandhagen himself immediately dismissed as wishful thinking. Sandhagen fired back with confidence, making it clear that standing and trading with him is a dangerous proposition. "That's not happening," he insisted. "If Merab thinks he's going to knock me out, he's fooling himself. Striking with me is not something you can just walk into. That would be a horrible plan." The 31-year-old Colorado native is widely regarded as one of the most technical and creative strikers in the UFC bantamweight division. His fluid movement, sharp footwork, and ability to mix up angles have troubled some of the very best fighters in the sport. Sandhagen knows Merab's strengths, pressure, cardio, and the ability to grind opponents down, but he believes those tools won't be enough if the Georgian decides to abandon his wrestling-heavy approach and engage in a striking battle. On the other side, Merab's camp has been glowing with confidence. Following his slick submission victory over Sean O'Malley, Merab's coaches have suggested that the Georgian contender has evolved into a completely new fighter. They claim that every part of his game, striking, fight IQ, wrestling transitions, and conditioning, has improved to the point where he poses a different level of threat altogether. Sandhagen, however, remains unfazed. He revealed that his training camp has been laser-focused on preparing for Merab's trademark style. "We've pushed ourselves really hard this camp, but we've also been smart about it," Sandhagen said. "It's about pushing at the right times, knowing when to dig deep, and knowing when to fight intelligently. I've had to train like crazy to defend takedowns and then immediately transition back into striking. That's the fight. It's going to be him shooting and me defending, then making him pay on the feet." Sandhagen went on to reiterate that while Merab's relentless pace has exhausted many opponents in the past, he is ready for it. He believes his conditioning, technical skills, and fight IQ will allow him to not just withstand Merab's pressure but also break him down over the course of the fight. "I know he's saying he's going to strike," Sandhagen said, "but if that's true, it's a big mistake. Don't do that, Merab, because if this fight is on the feet, it's my world, and if it's about defending takedowns and getting back to striking, I'm prepared for that too." With both fighters confident, tensions high, and stakes massive, UFC 320's co-main event is shaping up to be a defining battle in the bantamweight division. A victory could set the stage for a future title shot, while a loss could derail momentum at the most competitive time in the division's history. One thing is certain: when Cory Sandhagen and Merab Dvalishvili step into the cage, fans will be treated to a clash of contrasting styles, one powered by relentless wrestling and pressure, the other built on striking brilliance and precision. Whoever prevails will not only win the fight but potentially reshape the landscape of the bantamweight division. Before moving on to the next news, we have a quick request for you. We're always working to improve our content and truly value your support. If you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon, it would mean a lot to us. That way, you'll never miss an update. Move on to another news. The light heavyweight division just got even more heated. In his latest YouTube video, former UFC champion Alex Pereira revealed a shocking and dramatic encounter with current champion Magomed Ankalaev and his team at the UFC Performance Institute. According to Pereira, the interaction was nothing short of embarrassing for Ankalaev, who he claims avoided him in a way that left fans questioning the Russian's confidence heading into their highly anticipated rematch. Pereira described the moment with no hesitation, stating that when Ankalaev noticed him walking in his direction, he quickly ducked into a small room, seemingly to avoid any direct confrontation. For Pereira, this was a clear display of fear and weakness, an attitude he insists is unbecoming of a UFC champion. The Brazilian powerhouse did not hold back, calling Ankalaev a horrible champion, and even going as far as labeling him a complete embarrassment to the sport. The fiery words did not stop there. Pereira, known for his cold demeanor and knockout power, turned up the intensity by joking that Ankalaev might actually try to escape during their upcoming fight. He teased the idea that the Russian could climb over the octagon fence and run away mid-fight if the pressure became too much. While said in jest, the jab highlighted just how little respect Pereira has for his rival's mentality. This rivalry has been brewing ever since Ankalaev edged out Pereira to claim the light heavyweight title. The fight was closely contested, with many debating the outcome, and Pereira Pereira has made it his mission to reclaim the belt. For him, October's rematch isn't just another fight, it's redemption, an opportunity to prove that he remains one of the most dangerous strikers in the sport. Meanwhile, Ankalaev has been equally vocal about the rematch. The Russian has promised fans that there will be no need for the judges this time, insisting that Pereira will not make it to the scorecards. Ankalaev has vowed to finish the Brazilian in decisive fashion, silencing all doubters and proving that his championship reign is legitimate. With both fighters locked in and trading barbs publicly, the stakes for this rematch have skyrocketed. Pereira's comments about Ankalaev's supposed fear and weak mentality will only add more fuel to the fire, making this one of the most personal and emotionally charged rivalries in recent UFC history. The Brazilian striker, nicknamed Poetin, has built his career on intimidation, knockout power, and mental warfare. For him, seeing his opponent allegedly avoid confrontation outside the cage only reinforces his belief that Ankalaev does not possess the heart of a true champion. On the other hand, Ankalaev's stoic and measured personality suggests that he may be playing the long game, choosing to save his energy and focus for when it matters most, inside the octagon. As October quickly approaches, one thing is clear: this rematch has all the ingredients of a blockbuster. From fiery trash talk to genuine bad blood, Alex Pereira vs Magomed Ankalaev promises to deliver fireworks. For Pereira, it's about reclaiming his throne. For Ankalaev, it's about proving that he deserves to keep it. Fans around the world are eagerly awaiting the moment when words are no longer enough, and fists will decide who truly rules the light heavyweight division. Move on to another news. The featherweight division just got even more intriguing after UFC Noche. Diego Lopez delivered a stunning performance against John Silva, catching the attention of fans, fighters, and analysts alike. Following the bout, John Anik and Kenny Florian weighed in on Lopez's future, with both expressing confidence that the Brazilian could one day capture UFC gold. Anik opened the discussion by pointing out the context of Lopez's UFC journey. While Lopez previously suffered a setback against reigning champion Alexander Volkanovski, Anik emphasized that fans need to recognize the version of Volkanovski Lopez faced that night. He described it as vintage Volk, a performance where the champion was in peak form, using flawless movement, feints, and pressure. In Anik's words, not many fighters on the planet could have beaten Volkanovski in that state. This perspective shifts the narrative. Rather than seeing Lopez's loss as a defining flaw, Anik believes it highlights how dangerous he is, because despite losing, Lopez still managed to showcase resilience, aggression, and moments of brilliance. His win over Silva at UFC Noche only reinforced those qualities, proving he has the tools to be a legitimate threat in the division. Kenny Florian echoed those sentiments, highlighting Lopez's exciting style and natural ability to inflict damage. He loves to do damage, Florian noted. He's extremely aggressive and exciting to watch. That kind of approach makes him not only dangerous but also marketable, which is crucial in today's UFC. Florian stressed that with a few adjustments, Lopez could absolutely position himself as a world champion contender. However, both analysts acknowledged that challenges remain. One major obstacle is Movsar Evloev, the undefeated Russian who already owns a victory over Lopez. Many view Evloev as the rightful next contender, but his injury has sidelined him and left the title picture in flux. This creates an opening for Lopez, who with one more strong performance, could re-enter the championship conversation. Adding more intrigue to the situation is the rise of Lerone Murphy. After his highlight reel spinning elbow knockout over Aaron Pico, Murphy has surged into title contention. Fans are already buzzing about a potential matchup between Murphy and Volkanovski, leaving Lopez to carve out his own path. Even Volkanovski himself acknowledged Lopez's recent performance, giving him credit as a potential future challenger. At the same time, the champion reminded everyone that contenders like Evloev and Murphy are still firmly in the mix, underlining just how stacked the featherweight division truly is. For Lopez, the key to breaking through may lie in refinement. Florian pointed out areas where improvement is needed, particularly in Lopez's striking defense and his decision-making when transitioning to grappling. While his aggressive style makes him exciting, it also leaves openings that elite opponents can exploit. If he can tighten up those aspects of his game, Florian believes Lopez has all the tools necessary to capture a UFC championship. The takeaway from UFC Noche is clear: Diego Lopez has momentum, fan appeal, and the backing of respected voices in the MMA community. With the division as competitive as ever, the road won't be easy, but as John Anik summed it up, can Diego Lopez win a world championship? I certainly think he can. Move on to another news. Paddy Pimblett has never been one to hold back, and in his latest outburst, he set his sights squarely on UFC lightweight champion Ilia Topuria. The outspoken Liverpudlian fired shots from every angle, accusing Topuria of being handed an undeserved title shot and mocking him for copying Conor McGregor's entire act. Pimblett didn't mince words, saying Topuria's rise to the belt was one of the easiest paths in UFC history. According to Paddy, if he had been given the same route to the top, he would already be champion. Ilia had the easiest road to the belt I've ever seen, Pimblett said. Who did he beat? Ryan Hall, Josh Emmett, Bryce Mitchell. Good fighters, sure, but nowhere near the killers I've had to prepare for. Michael Chandler had already beaten most of those guys before fighting Volkanovski. Ilia caught everyone at the right time. Everything just lined up perfectly for him, except when he fights me. What makes the situation more intriguing is that Arman Tsarukyan, a top lightweight contender himself, recently confirmed that the UFC's priority plan is to set up Pimblett versus Topuria for the lightweight title. Spanish journalist Alvaro Colmenero also revealed that the UFC is looking to launch its 2026 calendar with a massive event tied to their new Paramount broadcast deal, and Ilia Topuria is expected to be the centerpiece. All signs point toward a showdown between Topuria and Pimblett. In his 20-minute sit-down with Spanish media, Pimblett went into detail about how the matchup came together. His original plan was a #1 contender fight against Justin Gaethje. However, when Gaethje passed on the opportunity, the UFC pivoted, putting Pimblett on a collision course with Topuria. Now, the Liverpool star says all his focus is on El Matador, promising that he will outwrestle and outwork the Georgian champion when they eventually clash. Both fighters believe they hold the key to victory. Topuria has repeatedly stated that Pimblett has no head movement and would be an easy knockout. Pimblett, on the other hand, insists that Topuria's grappling is nowhere near the level needed to survive against him. Stylistically, Arman's a tougher fight for me than Ilia, Paddy explained. Arman's a proper lightweight, he's got better grappling, and he fights with a more complete game. Ilia, he's never faced someone like me. When he does, he'll be exposed. Pimblett also emphasized the financial value of the matchup. This fight makes the UFC more money than anything else they could book, he said. Ilia and I have history. Fans know the story. It's personal, and it's going to sell. They need to make it happen. As the UFC continues to line up its blockbuster 2026 schedule, all eyes are on whether Pimblett versus Topuria will be the headliner that kicks off the new broadcast era. One thing is certain, the rivalry between these two stars is only just beginning, and the build-up promises to be as explosive as the fight itself. Move on to another news. The UFC has officially confirmed a major update to its upcoming card in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Former lightweight champion Charles Oliveira will now face Polish contender Mateusz Gamrot, stepping in on short notice to keep the co-main event alive after the withdrawal of Rafael Fiziev. For weeks, fans were anxiously waiting for clarity on Oliveira's new opponent. Speculation ran rampant after Fiziev pulled out due to injury, leaving one of the card's biggest stars without a dance partner. Social media lit up with potential names. Oliveira's manager even fueled the discussion by posting a cryptic Instagram story featuring the UK, Armenian, and Mexican flags. This immediately sparked theories of a potential rematch with Arman Tsarukyan or even a blockbuster clash with Liverpool's Paddy Pimblett. However, within just an hour of that speculation, Oliveira himself took to Instagram to make it official. Mateusz Gamrot had accepted the challenge. The Brazilian fan favorite praised Gamrot's willingness to step up when others hesitated. "My family, just dropping by to let you know that my new fight is set. First of all, I want to thank everyone for all the messages and affection," Oliveira said. "That's why I insisted on staying on UFC Rio." Opponent, Mateusz Gamrot. "This is the guy we're going to battle in a great war. The rest just wanted hype and attention. Gamrot actually wanted the fight. Thank you for stepping up. It's going to be a war. This matchup is compelling for multiple reasons." Oliveira, one of the most dangerous submission artists in UFC history, has been a mainstay at the top of the lightweight division for years. Known for his relentless pressure, sharp Muay Thai, and record-setting finishes, Du Bronx remains one of the most feared fighters in the sport. Fighting in front of his home crowd in Rio de Janeiro adds even more intensity to the occasion. On the other side, Mateusz Gamrot is no stranger to high-level competition. The Polish lightweight is an experienced grappler with strong wrestling credentials and a reputation for grinding down opponents with pace and pressure. Gamrot has long been considered a dark horse in the lightweight division, and now he gets the chance to prove himself against one of the most accomplished fighters of the modern era. For fans, the matchup is a gift. Oliveira's offensive jiu-jitsu and Gamrot's chain wrestling could collide in a grappling heavy war, or the fight could play out on the feet compete with both men capable of delivering highlight reel moments. Perhaps most importantly, the fight ensures that Brazilian fans at UFC Rio still get to see one of their country's biggest stars compete. Oliveira has repeatedly stated how much it means to him to perform in front of his home crowd, and with Gamrot stepping in, the card remains intact and highly intriguing. The stage is set for October 11th in Rio de Janeiro. Charles Oliveira vs Mateusz Gamrot promises to deliver action, drama, and a true test of skill between two of the lightweight division's most respected competitors. Move on to another news. Former UFC middleweight contender Darren Till has never been one to shy away from speaking his mind. In a recent appearance on Demetrius Johnson's Mighty Cast podcast, Till revisited one of the most controversial decisions in UFC history, the elimination of fighter-specific sponsorships following the promotion's 2014 uniform deal with Reebok. Before that partnership, fighters had the freedom to secure their own sponsorships and showcase those logos on their fight shorts and banners on fight night. For many athletes, especially those not yet at the top of the pay scale, these sponsorship deals represented a vital source of income, sometimes exceeding their actual fight purses. When the UFC signed its exclusive deal with Reebok, and later with Venom, that revenue stream disappeared almost overnight. Till, who fought for the organization both before and after the change, didn't hold back in expressing how damaging the move was for fighters. "I don't like to slander Dana White too much. He gets a lot of heat," Till began, "but I've got to be truthful as well. I always stand on business and what I believe in. Even when you're in the UFC, it was like, we're going to take away your sponsorships now. We're going to put Reebok in there, or Venom. And I thought, what the hell is going on? Now the fighters aren't even making money outside of it. It was cruel, honestly. That sort of stuff was just cruel." Till's frustration echoed the feelings of many fighters who saw their incomes drastically reduced. Under the Reebok deal, competitors were placed into a tiered payment system based on the number of UFC fights they had. While champions and veterans received slightly more, newcomers to the promotion often earned only a few $1,000s per fight from the uniform deal, a fraction of what they could have made from multiple private sponsorships. The result, Till explained, was an unnecessary financial squeeze on fighters who were already dealing with the costs of training camps, management, and medical expenses. "You'd get 10 and 10, referring to a standard $10,000 to show, $10,000 to win UFC contract, and then everything was set in stone. There wasn't much left after you paid everyone," Till noted. "For me, that wasn't sustainable." While the UFC still allows athletes to sign sponsorship agreements outside the octagon, the inability to showcase those brands on fight night severely limits their value. Companies are far less inclined to invest when their logos won't be displayed on the most visible stage. Till also pointed out that fighters who competed before the Reebok era had a clear financial advantage. Many older veterans remain vocal about how the uniform policy slashed their earning potential and left them relying almost entirely on UFC fight purses and post-fight bonuses. Even though it's been over 10 years now, fighters who were around before the deal are still salty about it, and rightfully so, Till said. Despite the criticism, Till made it clear that he personally has found happiness outside of the UFC and is thriving financially in his post-octagon career. "I couldn't be loving life more," he admitted. "I've made a ton of money, and I'm good, but I still think what happened to a lot of fighters back then was wrong." For many fighters past and present, the Reebok and Venom uniform deals remain a sore spot, a reminder of a decision that prioritized the UFC's corporate image over individual athlete earnings. Darren Till's comments add yet another voice to the ongoing debate about fighter pay, sponsorship rights, and the long-term financial health of professional MMA athletes.